Hello, so here's the other video that I wanted to do that's related to my topic of the top 50 greatest rock artists and bands of all time. Yesterday I put out the video that was number 50 down to number 26. I also told you guys a lot about the idea behind doing this list and how I came about it. So, you know, today I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit more concise, but I'm gonna give you my picks for my choices, top 25 rock bands, rock artists of all time. Mostly bands, but there are some individual artists included here that simply deserve a spot in that kind of a list. So had a lot of fun putting this together. Trying to get back into doing my videos now that I've got myself set up in this space, and it's kind of fun to do, so hope you like it. Like and subscribe if you haven't for me, that'd be cool, and hope you like it. Hope maybe it gives you an idea to play some cool artists that you haven't thought of for a while perhaps, or make your own list. That'd be fun. Get some comments, whatever. Okay. Top 25 rock bands, artists of all time. Obviously in in any list, when you get to, you know, this kind of level, top 25 rock artists of all time, man, you know, a lot of good music, a lot of good bands to consider, a lot of good artists. So any of these are fantastic, but I'm picking a list and this is my pick. So at number 25 is a band that has a big influence on classic rock, and it's Deep Purple. You know, I'm not as thick of a Deep Purple fan as some, but there's no denying Deep Purple's impact in hard rock over these decades. The band has been around for a long time, so they're at number 25 with some songs that are staples of classic rock radio. Deep Purple, number 25 on my list. At number 24 is an artist that needs a top spot on this kind of list because of his longevity and impact in the music scene, and it's Eric Clapton. You know, whether you're talking about him as part of Cream, Derek and the Dominoes, the Yardbirds, the guy solo, he's had a long, glorious career. A lot of artists name him as such an important a guitarist, so he's got to have a spot, and he's at number 24 for me. At number 23 is a real favorite band of mine, and it's U2. U2 had a couple of just true classic albums, and this is one of them. But U2's another band that's hung around for so long. Such an impressive band to put out so many songs. I mean, I've done a couple of previous videos of some of these bands that are such favorites of mine, and I did a big video, 50 U2 songs, and it was it's pretty impressive when you start thinking about the depth of their career. What a career. U2, they're at number 23 on my list. At number 22 is Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is an artist that I debated myself, do I put him in this top 50 rock list? He started out as a folk artist, and he truly is a folk artist, but he branched off and went into some rock records, and the guy's had such an impactful career and made so many just important songs. You can't not have him on any list like this. So he sits at number 22 for me, Bob Dylan. At number 21 is a band that had one of the greatest lead men in rock history. I mean, it was a little before my time, The Doors, but there's no denying their impact in rock and their long-lasting songs. Such great music. I've just recently picked up this cool hits collection. I've wanted some Doors in my collection forever, so Jim Morrison is such a unique character in rock history. So the Doors sit at number 21. At number 20, so we're top 20 now, some real favorites of mine. Number 20 is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Sits at number 20. I mean, the guy had a long career, and that band is a great band along beside Tom. This record has nothing but great songs on it. What a songwriter. One of the greats of American rock for sure. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and they sit at number 20 on my list. At number 19 is another band that, all these bands, they've been around a long time. Genesis. Whether you're talking about modern Genesis, which this collection is really focused on that, or the early progressive rock Genesis, they're an important band, and springing out two amazing solo artists on their own, Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel. Genesis sits at number 19 on my list. At number 18, another band that was around so long that they had a couple of different styles even in their music, and it's Fleetwood Mac. Lindsey Buckingham, great guitarist. Stevie Nicks, amazing singer. Mick Fleetwood, the drummer, that was kind of the thread, all along. So Fleetwood Mac, an important band, and they sit at number 18 on my list. So sitting at number 17, Neil Young. So whether you talk Neil Young and Crazy Horse or his solo stuff, Neil's been, man, what an impactful person in rock history. So Neil Young, he sits at number 17 on my all-time list. So you can see that, any of these bands, that's a pretty, what a collection of artists. So, most of these would be high on most classic rock or radio or publication lists, but I tried to, pick based on my own knowledge and my own taste comes into play. Eagles. The Eagles sit at number 16. Joe Walsh, Don Henley, Glenn Frey, what a great band. And this is one of their two greatest hits records that I have. It was a set, of course, and very famous, and just amazing songs. The Eagles sit at number 16. Okay, top 15. Number 15, one of the great hard rock bands from the early time in British music, The Who. One of the great early hard rock bands, just an iconic live band, The Who. Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, man, great band. Really for us hard rock kids and us hard rockers, and they were one of those early great hard rock bands, The Who. Number 15. Number 14 on my list is The Boss, Bruce Springsteen, and the E Street Band, Bruce by himself. I've been fortunate to see many of these bands and artists live in my life, and saw Bruce twice, once with his big band, the E Street Band, once by himself. And one of the greats of music, period, but of rock music, Bruce Springsteen, and he is my choice for number 14 on my list. My choice for number 13 is the kings of great, crazy metal, thrash, whatever you want to call it, great music, Metallica. Metallica's hung in there so long. They got those amazing early records. Then they had a bit of a, spell where they weren't quite as popular maybe, but then they've come out with some really great stuff, modern music in the last few records, and Metallica is, leaders. They're leaders in that brand of music for sure. They are the band. So Metallica, and they sit at number 13 on my list. At number 12, one of the greats in my life for rock music, and this is one of the greatest debut records in music, period, and it's Van Halen. They sit at number 12 on my list. Eddie, Dave, Alex and Michael, amazing. Number 11, David Bowie, an artist that's been, had such been gone for a while, but he had such a long career. Out of all these artists I've mentioned, from 50 down to number 1, Bowie is the one artist that I'm really interested and excited. I'm going to get into more of his stuff. I only have a few Bowie records, and they were kind of gifted to me, and this is a good one, but I want to get into more Bowie because the guy had an eclectic and cool career, and he sits at number 11 on my list. At number 10 is Jimi Hendrix and The Experience. He sits at number 11, you know, an important figure in rock, and you know, he was a little ahead of me as far as timing in life, but no denying his songs. What a great guitarist. And you know, I think that it's fair to put him where he is at number 10, only because some of the bands ahead of him that I picked are more important to me personally. But man, Hendrix, what an impactful career. He sits at number 10 on my list. At number 9 is a guy that you know, he's got a couple of different styles. He had and does still exist, and he had this cool rock, classic rock songs, Benny and the Jets, you know, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, stuff that I remember just growing up with that stuff on the radio on Q107. And then he, you know, has developed this ability to put out these songs that are modern ballad type songs and maybe crossover stuff into pop music. But him and his partner Bernie Taupin and Elton John, he's, you know, too many songs to not deny. He's in my spot at number 9 on my list. At number 8 is a band that I wasn't a huge favorite of mine, but as I've gotten older, I certainly appreciate them more. I saw them live, they were amazing, and this was long after Freddie had gone. And Queen is a band that was so unique in their sound, just amazing musicianship, and then you had that vocalist that was like out of this world. And Queen sits at number 8 on my list. Sitting at number 7 is personally one of my favorite bands of all time, and it's Rush. And you know, Canadian trio that had an incredible career, such a long career, so many amazing records, and all great records, like no crummy stuff. They didn't fill in time. Rush, they sit at number 7 on my list. At number 6, greatest rock bands of all time, is Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath, one of the most influential bands ever coming out of rock. British band, you know, Ozzy, Tony, Bill Ward, and Geezer. And Black Sabbath sit at number 6 on my list of greatest of rock bands of all time. Number 5, a band that, wow, couple of records. Pink Floyd is number 5. Couple of records that are the greatest records ever made. This is one of them. And, you know, whether it's progressive rock or songwriting or just pure rock, there's nothing better. Pink Floyd set a standard that is, I think, still almost unachievable in rock music for most bands. Pink Floyd at number 5. My number 4 pick of bands of all time, my greatest bands of all time, is AC/DC. You know, whether it's the Bon Scott era or the Brian Johnson era, one of, if not the best, certainly one of the greatest pure rock and hard rock bands ever assembled. And AC/DC is lock in history as one of the greats, and they sit at number 4 on my list of greatest rock bands of all time, rock artists of all time. At number 3, and this is where, you know, these bands are just iconic. They're legends, they're legends. And sitting at number 3 for me is Zeppelin. Zeppelin with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham. Man, incredible collection of music. I mean, they would be even higher perhaps for me if they made even longer career, but regardless, their impact is undeniable. And they sit at number 3 on my greatest of all time list. So who could be ahead? Well, number 2 to me is the Rolling Stones. Personally, you know, both the number 2 and number 1 are not my personal favorite bands of all time necessarily, but I just think you cannot deny the Stones. And they sit at number 2 on my greatest of all time list. You know, look at this stuff, whether it's this early Stones that started, you know, real rock music, and or nowadays the latest stuff that they put out that's still quality, and all those decades in between. The Stones are just too important in rock to ignore, and I put them at number 2 on my greatest of all time list. And number 1, of course, is the Beatles. And the Beatles, again, for me personally, it's just a little ahead of my age bracket for rock. But, you know, as I've gotten older and more aware of the history of rock, and I'm really into it, and they are undenied number 1. Everybody knows that pretty much, whether it's Paul McCartney or John Lennon, you know, George Harrison, and then you got Ringo just laying it down. The Beatles, what a career. I mean, this is one of those iconic records, but they're number one rock band and artist of all time. So that's my list. 25 down to number 1. So I hope you check out yesterday's video, and if you're watching this one, I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to be a little bit more concise with my words, and yeah, thanks a lot for spending time with me. If you did, really appreciate it. So my next video I'm going to do to celebrate this amazing news of one of the greatest rock bands of all time reforming, Oasis, and getting back together. I am going to put together my fantasy set list. I hope they come to Toronto. I think that word is and excitement is they will. I've seen Oasis once before and it was amazing, so I'd like to see them as I'm more mature and can take it in a little bit more and appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, Oasis, one of my favorites. I'm gonna do a set list, my fantasy set list if they do come to Toronto, what I'd love to see them play. That'll be my next video. Probably take me a week to put it together. They've got so many great songs that I'll pick from. And yeah, have a good night. And if people are still off for the Labor Day holiday weekend tomorrow, enjoy yourself, enjoy it. We've got some great end of summer weather, and I'll be heading to work, but that's okay. That's the way it goes. Take care now, okay? Bye-bye.